crazy, crazy day. Oh, man. We got the OG crew right here. OG crew. We got Yanni. We got Filberto.
Filberto.
By the way, for those that are listening to this from an audio perspective, Phil's name that he decided, because you can put your own name in. I don't screen it. You just put your own name in. It's world famous Phil Grego. Phil, what are you so famous for?
I'm famous for a lot of stuff. Actually, that was a name that was given to me a long, long time ago. Russell and Chris and all those guys from that time would know me as that. So ask Chris and Russell tomorrow. Ask them, and they're going to tell you.
So you're telling me that your name given to you was the world famous Phil Grego?
Mm-hmm.
So we're right here, and we want the story.
Yeah,
you're telling us to wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, wait till
here.
Yeah, wait till
I don't know how it came about. It just came about. I mean, it was way back. I mean, I don't know. We were at Union Pontiac GMC Buick, and somebody gave me the name world famous. It might have been the used car manager actually at the time, Omar. So if Omar's listening, I think it was Omar that gave me that name. I'm not. I can't. It was so long ago. I mean, probably like 20 years ago, if not more. Probably more than that. Like 25 years ago. But yeah. Dude, Russell or Chris will say every now and then, be like, world famous.
Yo, you know what's so crazy? I remember the stories you guys used to tell working at the car dealership where like a dude would come in like selling suits out of the back of a truck. Yep. Talk about sales tales. You guys are there trying to hustle some cars and some dude rolls up in a truck.
Yeah, that was back in the day when you were a suit and tie, you know what I mean? And, you're going to Macy's or Nordstrom. If you had a little extra cash, you'd go to Nordstrom, you know what I mean? Because it'd be whatever, and you're spending a couple extra $100 on a suit, and this guy would come, they'd be hot. It'd be like that jersey thing, It was like, oh, just got them, they'd have the Nordstrom tag on them, and fell from the back of the truck, and it'd have like a $700 tag on it, and the guy's like, yeah, give me $250, you're good. And, you try it on and, it fit. You take it to the tailor and off you go.
Yeah. So this guy was selling hot suits.
Yeah.
I know. I remember Russell's closet. Like this is you're selling cars with suits and ties. Let's think about that for a second. Like you're selling cars with suits and ties. And this guy rolls up with dude, it doesn't get more Jersey than that, by the way. I'm just saying, like, that is so Jersey. Like, hey, listen, you want to take a look at these I got these suits that they're not stolen. I promise you. They fell off a truck.
Yeah, I got a guy.
They would show up with everything, though. They would show up with everything to the dealerships. They knew that the dealer, the salesman there, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, you had a guy.
They'd buy it. If you had something good, they'd buy it. They'd buy it.
So Chris Tulloch would always buy meat from the meat guy. There was a meat guy. And the meat guy would show up and, I don't know, he'd sell you steaks and sausages and all this stuff. And crispy, here's a $300 order. Here you go. You got paid, so you want to see filet mignon. Yeah.
Oh, the best was they rolled up and I didn't work in the car dealership with you guys, but I remember seeing remember those like the movies, like they were in the theater still. You'd buy the knockoff the bootleg movies.
Yeah, one for $5, 2 for $15.
It's a good deal.
1 for $5, 2 for $15. So good.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's so funny. Like back in the car sales day, like you came from like car sales. You did it for a little while. Russ came from it, car sales. And then Trevor, all those guys came from it. Chris came from it. All those guys came from it. How crazy is that? That like literally the most successful, like, and it's just bonkers to me. Like all these guys made the transition over to in-home sales, and
I think
crushed it.
Russell was like the leader in that. I remember Russell introducing me to it, and never looked back. So,
I remember that. So actually,
thank you, Russell. Yeah,
actually, that's a really cool story. So Dan Weltman met, like, Russell was managing the car dealership, and he was like, "Hey, you're really great, man. I want you to come work for me." And he's like, "Well, what do you do?" He's like, "Well, I own a plumbing and HVAC company." And Russell's like, "I don't know anything about plumbing. I'm not a plumber. I'm not an HVAC. I don't know anything about it." He's like, No. We'll train you. We'll send you off to training. We'll get you everything you need. And man, let me tell you something. It changed everybody's life. Everybody that Russell knows. I mean, how many of us are there? There's like the Russell tree. It's like the Bill Parcells tree.
It's like the Bill Parcells.
The guy's a good recruiter. I mean, the sales team at that Green Monster that we worked at was, all the top hitters were, somehow related to Russell one way or the other. If it weren't directly with Russell, it was because of somebody that Russell brought in somebody else. I mean, if you go back and you actually think about that, you go through that Rolodex, and you're going to go, oh yeah. I mean, it's wild.
Russell wanted that $500 recruiting bonus too, so he would.
Yo, whatever you're gonna do, man, just don't quit.
Like, just don't quit. Like 90 days. Like you just have to stay 90 days, and if 90 days, I get $500 if you join the company.
91 days, I don't care.
Yeah, those were the days, bro. Do you remember the beginning of those sales meetings too? All right, guys, listen up. Hey, Peckerhead. Hey, Peckerhead. You got a joke? Who's got a joke? Remember we used to start out those sales meetings with a joke, and I'll never.
So this is for I don't know if you remember Ron Bartle.
Yes, I remember Ron Bartle.
Right, so Ron Bartle used to love the "Good morning." Remember that scream? The "Good morning." Yeah,
okay,
that's for old Ron. That's for old Ron right there. If Ron's watching. He loved the morning chant. Oh, morning. Okay. Here's a story that is this is hilarious. Okay. So we had a sales rep. His name was Jim Willoughby. Jim Willoughby was an old school guy, right? Old school black guy. Like, I love this guy. I learned so much from this guy. And he had these gold frame glasses on, and he was an older guy. And he like every meeting, he'd be like, he was the pastor. He'd be like, "Oh, Jim, how's it going today?" I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Oh man, I'm blessed. And it was hilarious, right? So Jim had this thing where he loved butterscotch crimpets. Yes.
And he loved butterscotch crimpets so much.
And he's like, "But I could only have one pack because I'm a diabetic."
Yeah, but the thing was that he loved the butterscotch crimpets so much. He said that he didn't understand how the butterscotch crimpets in the vending machine at work were less money than if he bought it at the store. Like, even he was like, "Man, I got all these butterscotch crimpets. I can't believe it's cheaper. It's cheaper in the vending machine." And he would have, like, in the meetings, he'd have all the butterscotch crimpets just sitting in front of him, and you like open them up, and you hear like crackle, 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 like in the middle of the sales meetings. Like, "Jim, shut up, man, with the butterscotch crimpet. I'm blessed. Dude, I'll never forget.
Out of 1,000.
Oh yeah, he was so bad. He was terrible. It's funny because he said something once. He was like, he was very real. He would say, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "in-home sales is so much harder for me." He's like, "I'm black and I walk up and I'm already behind the 8 ball. I mean, people sometimes they don't even want to open the door for me. I got to stand back, and it's okay. I'm going to come in." And like literally he would tell me this and say like how good he was, because he would warm him up. And he sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yep.
He sold Kirby.
Yes.
He was like top sales rep for Kirby vacuum cleaners, selling
Yes,
a $2,000 vacuum cleaner.
How many reps do they have?
Who's that?
Kirby.
Now?
Yeah.
0. I would imagine they're not in business anymore.
Yeah, I think they used to. I think they used to pull up in the white vans and distribute salesmen throughout neighborhoods, and don't come back until you have a sale if you want to ride home. It was like one of those hardcore, door knocking sort of deals with the Kirby's.
Dude,
it could paint. Did you know it could paint walls? Like you could paint with that.
Yeah. Well, they've been making fun of Kirby since
wild.
the 50s, man. That thing went back forever. My parents had an old one. They probably still do in the basement. Thing weighed like 100 pounds.
Hey, did Jim sell it to him?
Dude.
Man. I never saw it work. I never saw it used, but it's there. They won't get rid of it.
A $2,000 vacuum cleaner in a closet. And you know what's interesting? Here, there's some actually. My buddy Rich is actually in the chats over here. Rich sold Cutco knives. You remember Cutco knives? Knocking on doors. Well, and those knives are still around. Those were some really good knives, actually. Like they were really good knives. I mean, you were
Richard Middleton.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yes, we're sharing AirPods. I don't have all the professional ear gear right now, Richard. So sorry. Okay, I don't have a studio here.
Yeah, they bring the whole studio to New Jersey.
It's literally a laptop, and we got a cool bar behind us, and we're sipping some. What is this actually? This is can we toast that. That's very nice. So I'm in New Jersey. Very nice. It was a great success. I'm in New Jersey. I'm here with John. We're in his house. We're literally I was in his house. Doug, it's pork. It's not pork roll. Okay. No. Okay. Let's just.
It is pork roll.
It's not pork roll. It's not pork roll. It's not pork roll. Can I? No. I need to tell this. Most people don't know this. Most people they don't know the story. The real story is that it was Taylor's prepared ham back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. They coined it, they patented it, they copywrote it, and then all the pork companies got together and they lobbied and they went to politicians and they had it changed legally in a court of law.
It could have been Cliff Notes, right? Like, look, originally it was called Taylor's Ham, and that was the original product. And the reality of it is that when I order this product that is now called pork roll, I am specifically ordering Taylor's pork roll. I want Taylor ham. No, okay. I don't want your fake brands because they're not
pork roll, bro.
Trenton's pretty good.
Trenton is okay.
Trenton's pretty good.
Trenton's okay.
Trenton's the best. The best is ShopRite brand. Tangy. Best.
ShopRite Tangy is actually the closest to Taylor.
That's butter. It's butter.
ShopRite extra tangy.
Shout out to ShopRite sponsor right here. There you go.
Yeah.
The world famous.
We're gonna put that in later.
The world famous. Well, you guys got the microphones, you fancy pantses.
Oh yeah.
I don't have the microphone anymore.
You don't have the microphone. So, all right, guys, we'd like to welcome you all here to Sales Tales. Tonight we're gonna have a special guest. He's been in the industry for about 15 years, give or take a little bit. He recently, stopped being in homes, but he's got some great stories that he's going to share with us tonight. We're going to introduce Everett Lapel. And everyone, let's welcome Everett Lapel to the show. And I think we have a specific story that Phil and I have in mind about someone that Everett went to see.
I'm thinking about a neighbor.
And he was a very big fan of a company called AP Jerry.
Jelly. No, jelly. AP Jelly.
AP Jerry.
Oh, jelly.
So I'm gonna hand this over to Everett, and he's gonna tell us all about this gentleman who loves AP Jerry.
I need to just preface this with my 4 rules. Okay, one of those rules is if you're offended, you're the problem. Okay, so we have to just set the precedent. If you're if you're offended, it's the problem. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I have a special hidden talent. Okay, I can do what What you making faces, bro? I have a hidden talent. I have a hidden talent. I am very good at doing accents. Okay. So, dude, I'm really good.
Got like one or two.
I have a bunch. Okay.
How about we all sing? Cause mommy.
That's not an accent. That's an impersonation.
Just be quiet. I'm good at impersonations. Okay. Anyway, that was very good, right?
No, Cartman's good, but he was talking about
All right. Look, here's the deal. Okay. I was actually going to do a whole episode on just this sales call. Okay. This is one sales call. To be fair, after the sales call was over, I called Phil and I literally snarfed. I peed. I probably pooped in my pants. I couldn't leave the parking lot that I was in because I was in tears. Okay. So there was this guy and he was an Asian American guy. Great guy. I get into the house and he has an old air conditioner and he has a new. Phil can't even keep it together. Phil can't. He's cracking. He's cracking up, and I haven't told the story yet. Anyway. So all right. So the guy is an old air. I'm there to quote the air conditioner, and I noticed that he has a newer furnace, and I said, "Hey, okay, it looks like we've been out here before. What's the deal with the I see you got a new furnace here, I'm just curious, where your service company did we quote this?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, you quote, too much money though, I go with another company." I said, "Okay." I'm like, how's it going so far with the other company?" He goes, "Oh well, terrible, they do bad install, and I have you guys here and you fix it right away." I said, "Okay, so you bought the furnace from someone else. We quoted it. It was too much money, but the unit wasn't installed properly." "No, but you guys are very good. You come here, you fix." I said, "Okay." So I go along with the call with this guy, and he keeps calling the company that I work for the wrong name. And the name of the company, I can say, because it's a company in the world, right, is AJ Perry. Okay, AJ, like AJ. And he keeps saying, "Oh, I like you guys, but a little bit too much money. The AP Jerry, but I call AP Jerry all the time." And I say, and I'm now,
Jerry. I love it. You say,
"Yeah, I love AP Jerry. AP Jerry are very good." So I'm like, okay. So hey, that's cool. I'm holding it together. I'm not saying anything. And he's probably says AP Jerry like a minimum of 15 times during the call. "Oh, how long you been working at AP Jerry?" Whatever. At the time it was years. So we go through everything, and he walks me through. He goes upstairs. He agrees to do the air conditioning system. Now, our process in that company was that you do what's called it's like a customer quality assurance call on the phone with the office, and there's a script, and part of that script is making sure that the company takes care of senior citizens and everything else. So it's part of the questioning is, before you move forward with the work, would you like to include anybody else on the call, family member, friend, or neighbor? And he goes, "Oh, what are you saying?" And she goes, "Before we move forward, is there anyone else you'd like to have on this call? Family member, friend, or neighbor?" And he's like, "Oh, why you want to talk to my neighbor?" I turned around. I literally turned around. I couldn't even hold myself together. He clearly did not understand what she was trying to say. So I somehow managed to get out of the house, and I pull over into the first parking lot that I could find. I pull over, and dude, I don't think I've still stopped laughing. And so now we love to joke about this story, and we send all sorts of nice GIFs gifts. Whoa, John, easy with the pour there, buddy. And we have a lot of fun with it. Here's the funny part about this story. Are you ready? Here's the funny part. He canceled.
No shit.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I know. I never told you guys that. He canceled.
It must have been because he didn't speak to your neighbor.
He did not. No, we didn't speak to his neighbor.
Or maybe he thinks that we did, and that's what he didn't like.
Oh my God.
We did not speak to his neighbor.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he canceled.
I had no idea.
And the funny part about it is, like, I'm thinking about that in retrospect, that one call after he talked about how terrible the install was with the other company and all this stuff and how much he loves AP Jerry, that he ended up canceling the call anyway. It was a lot of fun.
Well,
okay, that's the story.
The story and the laughs 10 years later, better than that commission, bro.
It just never get old.
It doesn't get old.
No.
It doesn't get old. So
Dana says my favorite story. My favorite one. Nicole loved this story.
Yeah, people like that story. I'm not the host tonight, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-hosts of your evening, the world famous Phil Grego and the not world famous John Vazquez.
I feel like you didn't have to say it that way, though.
It is what it is, bro. You're just not famous.
A little bit famous.
No, Phil, world famous.
A little bit famous.
Clearly.
Everett, famous.
It doesn't say.
No,
famous
it says we're in
Everett.
John's house, literally.
Right.
We're literally in your house.
Which makes me more famous than you.
So I was in this house with John Vazquez.
We were in houses together.
Did we do any sales calls together?
Yeah.
Did we have any fun sales calls?
No.
Was I just training you?
Yeah.
What did I train you to do? Did I train you? Did I train you well?
I never knew you trained him.
Was that Service Professionals?
Yeah.
I trained you? Oh, I trained him. What did I train you on? Did I train you at all well or no? Did I suck?
Yeah.
I sucked.
Well, that explains a lot.
Told me how to count radiator sections.
I like Phil. I remember I would listen to Phil talk about.
I went on a ride along with Phil too.
Yes.
Did you?
And I remember Phil being like, "Hey, let me just say," some tire kicker, right? And you'd be like, "Hey, hold on. Can I just ask you a question, sir? Are you serious about this or not?" Like you said, guy, listen, are you serious about this? Are you going to do this? I mean, is this something you want to do?
I got some Nordstrom suits in the back of the truck. Some ties too.
Anything exciting and fun happened? And since the last time you were on the show, Phil, any funny, any situations, any situations? You've been posting a lot on social media, dude. You've been posting a lot, before and afters. They look really good. The installs look really, really good, man.
Yeah, these guys do a great job here, and it's wild how you think that all your friends and your family and things like that people know what you do, and just from posting, before and afters here and there, and you see a little more on there just because I had one of my buddies, he's a realtor, and he's like, "Yo, dude, how did I not know you do this? And I'm going to put you in my, I'm going to refer you to people that need you." And I'm like, "Oh shit." I mean, I thought he knew what I did, but
power of social media, dude. The power of social media can work for it's a curse and it's a blessing too. It's both, right?
Yeah. And it's we gotta go ahead and post a little more. And that's why you see so much of that, because I'm like, well, who else doesn't know? You know what I mean? And it's true. I mean, it's all, I always take it back to the McDonald's effect. You got to see it, 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 and then you're gonna remember. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. I'm trying to annoy enough people and get it out there enough where bro, it's like, you see it and you see the clips and you see everything else. And then next thing you know, bam, I'm Joe Rogan.
No. Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's funny. I listened to him and he said that for the first, literally the first 8 years or whatever, five years, didn't make $1, didn't do no one, he got listeners, but and then all of a sudden it was like he just kind of blew up, and yeah, it became really, really famous. I mean, he was 12 million listeners or whatever. But you know what? I'm actually really happy about the amount of exposure this has gotten. I mean, we just checked it today. What was it? It was like just on one platform, 40,000 people engagement, over the course of this podcast. So it's I'm it's cool. It's in drips and drabs too. It's really weird. I never know. People reach out to me. They're they message me oh, dude, I love your podcast. I'm that's super cool. TikTok. Somebody I went to high school with messaged me. This dude, Phil, awesome dude. And he's a stand-up comedian, does stuff. And he's messaging me bro, this is amazing stuff. Keep at it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm yeah, it's cool. I think everybody sort of likes this and needs it. And you need a podcast that's not necessarily just I don't know, just whatever we do every day. There's always something some AI. I don't know. I don't know much about AI.
Some weird guy with super tight pants telling you how to 10x your business and screaming at you.
Super
with a black
tight
shirt
pants.
saying Elliot or something across the front. Fucking asshole. Can't stand that guy.
Which guy are you talking about?
Some Elliot. I don't even know his name. He just annoys me when I see those damn videos.
The bald guy? He's kind of bald and built.
Oh, this salesman sucks.
10x your business.
Oh, man. So dumb.
Yes,
so
but have
dumb.
you 10x'd your business yet?
Yeah, 10x these nuts.
Oh, Blake just came in. He said it's Andy Elliott. Hey, Blake, I'm back in the motherland, man. Blake, is that your uncle? Andy Elliott. And maybe Andy Elliott's going to see this, get really ticked off.
Oh, good. All right, listen, your ratings will go up.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
That's it. Because he'll repost it and respond to it. Boom.
I'll really be where. Hey,
Elliott.
Bro, did you say boom?
Damn.
Fuck Andy Elliott.
Can you take the microphone, please, and talk a little bit?
What?
Come on, guys! You're supposed to be interviewing me and asking me questions, and this so far has.
You're supposed to be telling a story. So what else?
No.
What was one house that you were in?
So Blake's
that
how the hell
really
did that
has
happen?
stuck with you? That really moved you, emotionally or otherwise.
So I ran this call with this 87-year-old woman, and she was a German immigrant, and I've told the story before, but she had met a soldier. Do you guys remember the story? She met a soldier. So she met an American soldier. She was a German citizen, and the Nazis at that point in time were starting to, Americans were starting to defeat the Nazis. It's a very similar story. Yeah. So anyway, she met this guy, and she fell kind of for him, and they had some kind of ball or gala, if you will. And she was young, 16, 17 years old. She goes to this soldier and she says, I really like to dance. And the guy goes, hey, kid, listen, you're a little young for me, but why don't you go dance with my buddy over there? He's really into you. He's been eyeing you up, and he's a little younger than me. And so she did, and they danced. And she tells this story from this 85-year-old perspective, and she closes her eyes and she says, it's like the world stopped. And they fell madly in love. And he had to go back to the States. And so they were trying to devise a plan on how to get him back so that he could bring her back to the States. Well, the only way that he could do that is if he took another tour of duty, but he had to do it as like a civilian working for the United States government. And it was like a year contract. So he had to come back, and she tells her dad that she's going to Berlin. And this is 1945. and she ends up. The dad's like, no, this is crazy. The war was still kind of going on, and 44 maybe, and there was still the Red Army there, and there was Russians there, there's Germans there, and she goes, Dad, I'm going with you or without you. So you're either going to help me go or not. So she, in the cover of darkness, they go and they meet at this little stone church, a treacherous territory. They meet at this little stone church, and they get married in secret. The rule was if you got married to an American soldier, that you had to denounce your family for a period of 3 years, and you were immediately flown back to America. So that's what happened. And she gets flown back to America to go live with a family that she never met for a year while he finished up his tour of duty in Berlin. No contact with her family. Again, she's like 16, 17 years old. No contact with her family. No contact with anybody. Can't write letters, nothing. He finishes up his tour of duty. He comes home. They have a wedding in America, and they live for 30 years together. It's like Scotch Plains, Westfield area. And they get married like in a real wedding in America. And they lived together 30 years. And then he passes away. And I was like, wow, that's a great story. She's like, yeah. And I noticed in the conversation that she said she had a second husband. So I said, so you had another marriage? She's like, yes, it's a great marriage. And that was like another like 20 years. And he passed away. So she had lost 2 husbands. And I said, oh, did you meet how did you meet the second husband? The second husband was the first guy that she asked to dance back in Germany 30 years prior. So the original guy that turned her down to dance with him was her second husband.
How the hell did she find him?
Well, turns out that as soldiers, they were both soldiers, the 2 guys, they were in the same barracks and whatever else. Turns out that they kept in contact, they knew each other, and they remained friends. So he was kind of in the picture in some sort of way. So I asked her, I said, hey, let me ask you something. Do you think that your first husband, would have been a little weird or minded if he knew that his friend had married you after he was gone? And she says to me, I'll never forget these words, he would have wanted it no other way. It was like the most impactful call I've ever run, listening to a 55-year story, and where
that's
this woman
weird
was
how
in her life.
Yeah, that's really cool how they were able to reconnect. Or you're saying they were always like in contact, I guess, right?
Well, she was in the peripheral, right? And or he was in the peripheral, and they were friends. Like they saw each other and whatnot. But and I think she said they were close enough where, yeah, he was around in the picture. It's just interesting because that doesn't always happen, right? I just think that it's so weird that this 16, 17-year-old girl from Germany meets both of her husbands that would have taken up her entire life at a small village in Germany, and two American soldiers. Just gets me right in the gut, man. So when you ask me what my most meaningful experience in the field, definitely that story. You like that story, don't you?
I do like that story.
You're a little emotional, John.
You heard that story before, John?
No, but yes. No.
I never heard that story.
I have never heard that story.
So what else you got in the tank there, Everett?
Well, I guess it depends on what you want to hear. I mean, I was on the road for a decade, so yeah, there you go. So what do you want? What? Yeah, give me a genre. What are we talking about here? Oh, you guys are terrible hosts.
Wild story. Wild story. Again, this is like a wild story. Like the wildest
all right
story Not scary, just like some wild, like holy shit moment. Like,
All right.
you know what I mean?
Check this out. Met this guy. Okay, this is wild in the sense of like I couldn't even believe what I was looking at. Like, it was just weird. Okay, met this guy, super wealthy guy. Like, he was Russian, but he didn't have like a crazy accent. Like, he was like a really Americanized guy, and he lived in Summit. And for those that don't know, Summit is a very wealthy area, like wealth beyond like crazy, like executives from Fortune 500 companies live there. Well, 90% of it. There's a tiny area that's not. But anyway, this guy had a lot of money. I'm in a house in a dilapidated neighborhood in Newark, New Jersey. And this guy is living in the house. Now, this house was enormous. So it was an old colonial Victorian. I don't even know the era. It was just beautiful. Now, it was kind of dilapidated. It hadn't been kept up. But back in the day, this house, like lion statues, like mantle, fireplace, like there was a servant's quarters in it. This is in Newark, like Newark, New Jersey. I'm talking like, but it was like, again, Phil, not a great neighborhood. Like, I would not be walking around there at night, right? So this guy, I'm like, huh. I'm like, hey, man, you live in this house? Like, you live here? Yeah. Like, by yourself? Yeah, I live here by myself. Bro, there were like 9 bedrooms. There was the house was so old, like, bro, it was like there were ghosts talking to me in this house. Okay. I mean, it was like there was history behind history in this house. It looked like it could have been like from a scene from like The Godfather. It was just a cool freaking house. And but again, dilapidated in the middle of Newark. And I'm like, I'm just curious. You say you're from Summit, you're living in Summit. I'm like, why are you in this house? You know, I'm just curious. He said, well, I'm going through a divorce and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, you're going through a divorce, but you decide to move here? And like, you just don't see that. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, no, it's just good. It's close to the train station. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, right, buddy. It's close to the train station. That's why you're living in this house. I'm thinking this guy's in the witness protection program. He got messed up with the mob. Like I got the feeling that this guy was hiding from people in this house.
That's
like
Arizona, bro. That's Arizona, not Newark.
You're too close to the mob still.
Yeah, but maybe he had to. Maybe he worked for the mob. Who knows? I have no idea, bro. I'm just saying it was weird. I didn't know why this guy was in this house. All by 9 bedrooms. Like there was like a vanity like room. Like if you went upstairs, like 4 floors up, and you went out and like through one room, you'd end up in another room. And there was like this like closet, you know, okay, like, you know, in the front of the house where you see those like steeple looking windows, you know what I'm talking about? Like the steeple looking windows, and it juts out from the roof line. And there was inside there was like a hidden room. Like you open up this door and you go in, and there's this hidden room. Like I didn't even know it was there. And I open it up, and it's about it's not wide. And he told me like back in the day, it would have been used as like a vanity or like a dressing room or a changing room or something like that. But it was pretty wild. So that was like probably one of the stranger kind of situations that I've been a part of. I was at this other call, this woman, she was morbidly obese. Like I'm talking like morbidly obese. She smelled like whatever it was, right? I roll up into the house. She has the screen door open. She's like, and as soon as I met her, soon as she talked, okay, I could tell. I'm like, okay, this woman's a scam. This woman's a scam artist. Like I can just tell, you know how you just talk to people, you just know there's something underneath the surface there. I walk into this house and she's like, oh, you know, sit down. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my husband, he's disabled and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And like, oh, we've had a rough go at it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so she's like, yeah, we're going to buy this HVAC system, blah, blah, blah. Dude. Ran the credit application, some like notification popped up. I'm, you know, not like decline, like call. I call. They're like, hey, yeah, can we talk to, or, you know, such and such or whatever. Bro, the social security number they used, the guy was dead. The guy was dead.
A little identity theft going on.
Oh, dude.
A little identity theft. Yeah.
She said her husband was disabled.
Yeah, disabled. Disabled.
man.
Well, Dead's not able.
What's that?
Dead is not able.
You gotta shut up, bro. You're just so dumb sometimes.
Oh, that's funny as hell.
I don't say shut up very often, by the way. It's like not really a word I say. I don't usually say shut up. You shut up. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So dead person credit application. That was interesting.
I don't know. Going into old houses is one of my favorite parts of this job. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Love it.
Old houses?
Yeah. Going into them, not necessarily working there and actually coming up with a proposal that makes sense for an old house, but being in the old houses is one of my favorite things. Like the stuff you get to see, the history that you find, like literally being in Princeton. And I'm going through the house. I'm there for a steam boiler. And so I'm looking down and I'm checking out all the pipes, make sure nothing's wrong with all that stuff. And then I get into this one room, I'm in the basement, obviously looking at all the steam pipe. And the room's painted. And there's a fireplace in the basement. Like, this is weird. Like, why is there a fireplace in the basement? And the woman says, look behind you. I turn around. There's this super steep staircase. And she says, this used to be a speakeasy during the Prohibition.
Oh, no shit.
And so there's a trap door in the living room that's covered by a carpet leading down the stairs to the speakeasy, which is why it had to be heated, because there were people living and hanging out and existing in space. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Right? And
that's really cool.
I love seeing all that stuff in the old homes. She likes the ones with the
Dana's comments is, I like the one with the huge naked portraits above the bed. Yes, there are more of those than I can even remember. So many of these boudoir. We talked about this. Boudoir. What is it? Boudoir? Is that it? Boudoir. It's a boudoir. It's a boudoir. Yeah, Blake says, when did you get to Jersey? Yeah, I got here today. Thanks, buddy. So speaking of this, we were talking about scams. Check the scam out, okay? This is a crazy scam. All right, you go. You go first. I've been talking a lot. You go first.
So I get this call like yesterday. Yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. It was yesterday. And
wait, Phil.
It was
was it yesterday?
It was either yesterday before.
Yes,
I can't
yesterday.
remember.
It was yesterday. It was
So I run this call, and it's like this old 1900 home, and it says psychic reading on the outside. It's advertisement, and I pull in the back, and park the car, whatever. And there's like there's cameras everywhere. And there's like this little thing, like ring the bell and we'll let you in or whatever. And this guy comes out and he's like, very like weird, like, I don't know. He's like a young guy. He's like in his 20s, but he looks like he's 50, like, I don't know. And then there's like this, the house is like super dark inside. And I walk in and there's like this reading room to the right. And it's like this light outside. It looks like one of those psychic balls or whatever you call those things. And it ends up being just like a boob light that you put on the ceiling. And it's like plugged in. I said to the guy, I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. He goes, yeah, back in the day, there was no Amazon. My grandfather had to invent something to make it look good. So I'm like, all right. So, we're going through. And the house is like really dark and kind of like paintings of horses and like just like, I'm a little creeped out because this says like, tarot cards and, like all this weird stuff, right?
And
so they
lights.
live in this house Yeah, they live in his house, and they have like this little back entrance for like people to come in and like go in there, and I guess they do like, oh yeah, whatever. So long story short, we did the job and everything went well and we did all that. But when I was there, this woman is just sitting next to this piano and she's just like sitting there, like waiting, looking at the screen with like cameras or whatever. And then I guess like somebody rang the bell, but I didn't hear anybody ring the bell. So she just like gets up. I mean, she can't predict it because obviously she has cameras to make sure that everything is good. And she gets up and she goes and, does whatever she does and comes back and, that's it. I kind of wanted to ask her, like, like if you could predict all this stuff, like, what are all the cameras for? Like, I mean, I don't know, right? It's like, it just got me like thinking, like, a little bit behind the scenes and all that stuff. It's just,
bro, they're gypsies.
I knew you would
They're,
be here.
they're gypsies.
100%. They
gypsies.
are gypsies.
Hello,
They are
Yeah, they're gypsies.
So talking about they are gypsies, and talking about
Dude, they're
like,
gypsies. Yo, speaking of gypsies, check this out. This is bonkers. My buddy Gabriel was back in the day. He was a school teacher. He played cards and whatever else, and he met these gypsies. One of the gypsies gets arrested. Okay, this older guy. He gets arrested, and his defense in the courtroom is that he can't read. He can't read. So he didn't know what these illegal activities were. He couldn't read. It was like accounting and all this kind of stuff. It was really racketeering. So this gypsy can't read, and the judge court orders him to get a tutor to help him to read. So he's like, yeah, okay. So he hires my friend to help him to read. My buddy
Gabriel,
goes,
the Astros fan.
Yeah. Gabriel.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to get shot here if somebody listens to this. He goes to the house. Gypsy goes, don't I'm not going to take your stupid I'm not going to take your lessons. But they don't send their kids to school. I don't know if you know this. Gypsies don't send their kids to regular school. They teach them all the scams and everything else. So they go
to gypsy school.
No, they don't go. Anyway, says
Supposed to learn to gypsy.
No, they don't learn to gypsy. That's not how this works.
That's how it works.
Anyway, says, I'm not going to learn. I'm too old, but you teach my son right here. And he taught his son how to like read and write and all that kind of stuff. And so he hired him. And it was like, I mean, there's a lot of stories. I'd have to ask him if he's okay with me telling them because they're pretty crazy. The what had happened and all that kind of stuff. But long story short, I learned a lot about gypsies. Actually, they don't send their kids to schools. It's all scandals. It's all cash. Do you know the driveway scam? When they come up, they quote like the driveway. Yeah, they quote the driveway, and they're like, for those of you guys that don't know, they quote a driveway like so. Everybody's quote will be like $14,000, and theirs will be like $8,000. And they'll say,
I got extra material.
Yeah, I got extra material. Don't worry about it. I'll do it for $8,000. I just take half down, and then I'll come back and I'll get the materials, come back and do the rest. And they just take $4,000 and they're gone. And they're just gone. See ya. Oh,
see ya, bro. Thanks for coming.
I was just reminded of something earlier. You said that we're talking about you were saying a scam, and I was about to say the scam. It totally slipped my mind. But I had been not the dead person with the credit application scam. There was a different scam. And I went out to a house and there was a whole scam situation going on. I've met a bunch of scammers.
Wild, man. That's wild. That's I mean, people do that actually like all the time. It's like it's scary, like you're going out, like what if it happened to you, like I don't know.
Well, how many
so you go out and it's
how many credit apps you're running and people are always like, I don't know. I have to give you. I'm like, yeah, you need to give me your social. I've got it locked because my credit was just stolen. I'm this and that, right? How many people are telling you their credit was stolen? It's insane, the number of people. Insane.
It really is. It's wild. But there's these professional people out there. I mean, as you're saying, Everett, it's like absolutely insane. Like, and then even make like IDs. Like that's how good these people are. They like make fake IDs with like, Everett, lapel, and like all the stuff with their pit. It's like wild. It's crazy.
I didn't want to cough right into the mic. Oh, what are you doing? She's a fucking guy. So I remember working at Fridays, right? While we're on the whole stolen credit and IDs and shit like that, right? And all the kitchen staff was South American, Central American. Actually, most of them were all from Guatemala, specifically for some reason. I guess they all just hooked up. And every now and then, you'd come into work and you'd say hello to one of them, and they would tell you, no. Now my name is Mario.
Michael.
Their name would change.
That's funny. My name is Michael. Jeez.
Yeah. One of them got caught using a dead guy's social.
Sheesh.
Oh man.
That's the so there was I worked at this restaurant that was kind of like, I don't want to say run by the mob, but it was run by the mob. And they got a tip. They got tipped off because they knew that INS, immigration was going to come in, right? So the whole kitchen, I mean, it was a really well, I mean, this kitchen ran amazingly. I mean, it was an incredible kitchen, right? So they got tipped off that the federales were going to come in there, okay? Immigration was going to come in there, and I'm not even kidding you. This is crazy. It was like a Saturday night, and it was super busy, and I used to deliver like a gazillion pizzas, right? And there was one dude working in the kitchen the night that day. One dude working in the kitchen. Dude, usually there were like 8 people working in the kitchen. They got tipped off. One guy working in the kitchen. One dude. Because there's only one social security number. There's only one social security number. You can't. So they'd share like social security. I mean, it was, yeah.
He's like, Everett, you want to spin some pizzas? Get your butt back here, spin some pizzas, boy.
One guy in the kitchen.
Oh,
They showed up
man.
on Fridays once, and the entire kitchen just ran out the back door. They were gone. Poof.
Oh.
They caught Nino.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they caught Nino.
They caught Nino?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who he is, but he sounds like a cool guy.
He was all right. He was young.
Yeah. They caught him.
They caught him.
They caught him.
That's funny.
Yeah, never saw him again.
Yeah.
That's funny. We had a guy back in the so I was the finance guy, and I'm putting, so you do the deal, and back in the car era, and you do the deal in the front, guy sells the car, they bring me all the stuff, and I'm like, as the finance guy, you're the final check, right? If it gets past you, it's your ass. Huh?
Could you please give me insurance on my tires?
Absolutely.
We need insurance on our tires. Can you sell me insurance on my tires?
My wife
and on your wheels. On your wheels also.
So
Tire
and
wheels.
Yes,
sir.
please. Yeah, yes, please.
Tire and wheel.
All of that. I need all of
So this guy's in there, and something's just weird. Like this guy's letting him make all this money on the front, and like it's just too easy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, I don't know. I just had this weird feeling, and I'm like, hey, did you verify the insurance with the sales guys? Sales guys are like, yeah, verified the insurance. Did you, all this stuff. I got everything approved. And, let's just say this guy's name is like, Michael Smith. And he does not look like a Michael Smith. He looks like a Nino Sanchez. You know what I mean? And he's sitting in his table.
Nino Sanchez.
And he's like, he's sitting there and he's like, you know, he has like this shirt and like a tie, but his pants and his shoes don't match. Like the top is just like the guy's just trying too hard. And they always come in, and of course, nobody wants to buy, you know, a Honda Accord or a regular car. You got to go for the Cadillac ESV and, you know, the super, super expensive stuff, right? Because they're going to ship it. So I'm like, man, there's just something that's off. And Geico was the insurance. I remember that. And Geico's the insurance company. And he's like, no, you got to go through, you got to call my agent. You got to call my agent. So the sales guy's calling the agent. And it's you know, some fucking guy on the other end.
Right.
Oh, yeah, everything's good.
Yeah, it's Miguel
good.
Sanchez. Right. It's not, it's
right?
like his buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nino's like, come on, I got to go. I got stuff. And he's like, you know, when they want to rush you, it's because there's something going on, right? There's trying to create some distraction. Like, hey, I'm going to let you make all the money, but you got to get me out of here quick. And if you're greedy, you're not paying attention, they're going to get you. So I'm like, you know what? There's something funny about this deal. And I go ahead and I call Geico, like 1-800-GEICO, whatever, right? And Geico just, they're like, yeah, you know, that policy number doesn't exist. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because it's going through an agent. And the agent's name is, you know, this guy. And it's like, no, you know, that's an agency, but who are you talking to there? It's like, oh, I was like, man, there's something fucking wrong. Long and behold, I don't know how we found out that it was, you know, identity theft. There was something, I think the insurance company or like something popped up. And I was like, holy shit. And I said to the salesman, I said, listen, you need to keep this guy here. Don't let him go. I mean, you can't physically touch him and keep him there. But I call the cops, right? I call the authorities. I have all the proof. You know, the guy's there. I got a fake ID. I got a fake name. I got a social. I got all this stuff. And the guy's literally sitting in the showroom. And I'm like, I call, and these guys finally show up. And right before the cops show up, this guy's like pacing back and forth, coming to my office, like, come on, I got to go, and this and that. And the other thing, he starts getting antsy pants, and he knew something was up. And he was like, oh, I got to go get a drink, and I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go out of my car and get whatever, the car that he was like trading in or not trading in or whatever he was doing. And yeah, he just disappeared, like never saw the guy again, because he knew, like, oh shit, like this is taking too long. These guys are finally on to me. And the cops came in and they did all the stuff, and it was wild. So
why did the salesman let him have the keys to the trade-in? That's rule number one. You got to hold those keys for the trade.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, man. I was, you know, I'm in the box, as we call it in that business. And I'm doing my thing, and it was wild. But yeah, the guy looked like you know, Nino Sanchez, and the application was Bob Smith.
Was this Union or New York?
This was Union, actually. Union Pontiac. It's now Maxon. Yeah, it's a Maxon now. And of course, the guy was getting, you know, the Yukon Denali. Yeah.
Maxon Hyundai, Maxon Buick GMC, great dealerships. Go hit them up. Anyone who needs a Buick GMC or a Hyundai, they're amazing over there.
Oh, we're giving out free advertisements, by the way, just so you knew that. Bro, people pay for that type of advertisement. People pay for it. Guys, I'm gonna leave you with a last little thing here, which is pretty cool. So, my dad owned a company when I was a little kid growing up, and he started the company from nothing, from a hatchback car and a garage, literally. At first, it was a Volkswagen Golf, and then he bought a Toyota Camry wagon, and then he bought like a full van. And I watched him build this company. He was pretty brave. I watched him build this company from nothing. I mean, literally nothing. He got you know, his company got bought. And when his company got bought that he worked for, he was like a regional manager. He knew that he saw the writing on the wall and he was like, you know, I gotta do this on my own. And he did. And I watched him go from a garage to like a warehouse and forklifts and employees and staff and like literally from absolutely nothing. And it was a really great experience for me. And like when I say sales tales, like that, you know, that's where it really started. I was like 14, 15 years old, and my dad would take me on sales calls. And I remember like he'd be like, he was a real thick Brooklyn accent, and he'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Get in the van. I'd be like, Dad, I'm going out with my friends. No, you're not. Get in the van. We're going on sales calls, or we're going to deliveries, or, you know, we're going to the warehouse, whatever it was. And I would spend Saturdays, Sundays with him. Like, oh, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I spent so much time as a young, little, tiny kid, you know, teenager, formative years, learning how to do this stuff. And I went to this guy. This was my dad sold these supplies anyway. He he knocked on the door. He goes inside this business and he goes, hey, how you doing? My name's Phil. You know, you want to see some stuff, you know, kind of cold calling. And the guy's like, no, get out of here. You know what I mean? So he's like, all right, leaves. And then my dad turns to me. I'll never forget this. Dad turns to me. He goes, don't worry about it. You watch. I said, oh, well, I don't know what I want to watch. The guy told you to go away. You know what I mean? Next week, we went out to that same exact store, knocked on the door, went inside. My dad had some samples with him, some, you know, whatever it was, like pamphlets. And he's like, hey, I just wanted to know if you wanted, you know, I got some samples. You want to take a look, you know? And the guy's like, no, wait a minute. Were you here last week? And he's like, yeah, no, I got some samples. Just take a look. My dad was real like nonchalant about it. The guy's like, all right. And wouldn't you know, that guy became one of my dad's really good customers. And I learned a lesson there. And I learned the lesson of like persistence in that one thing. And he wasn't pressure at all. My dad was very like, you know, nonchalant about it. But I learned a lot in that 1 week period. I learned a lot about people and persistence. And it really like resonates with me as where I am now, my career and everything else. So why do I bring this up? Well, I bring this up because later on, unfortunately, the business didn't go, you know, the way that, you know, whatever. My dad got sick. I don't want to get involved with that. But anyway, he ended up dissolving the business. My dad got cancer and eventually ended up passing away. But the funny part about it was I met this guy. I got another sales role. I met this guy. And it was this, you know, like not timeshares, but they were selling these vacation destination packages. It was ridiculous. So you get calls, right? I worked there for like a few months, but during this time, I met this guy. Talk about like scams almost, right? During this time period, right?
Room kind of deal.
Yeah, you would get a call from like, you know, hey, by the way, you qualify for, like a destination. You can get 2 days, 3 nights and a thing and a cruise and all this kind of stuff. And it was like these vouchers and that you would get. And like people would show up to like an office building, right? And you would like pitch them on these like destination things, which were really just timeshares. I mean, that's really what it was. But it's pretty amazing. But there was this guy who was this like sales, like this like crazy sales scam guru guy. And I'll never forget, like this was actually, if Tolik's listening to this, he knows who this is. And he was so crazy. This guy was like, are you doing the deal? Are you doing the deal? Are you going to do the deal? Like I was like his thing. Are you doing the deal? And this is what we learned, right? And we learned this craziness of like how to like do these like crazy sales presentations, right? And although this was a complete ridiculous company, right? They would sell these multi-$1,000 like packages to these people. It was pretty amazing that like of what you could pick up, and you have to obviously like throw out all the like the real scammy stuff, but it's pretty amazing how like persistent these guys were and how ridiculous they were and trying to get people to buy these ridiculous packages and whatever else. What's that? No, that's a whole nother story. But dude, like this guy, like he would beat us. Like we would play this game called quarters, right? And we would throw the quarters up against the wall, and the guy that had the furthest, like you had to hit the wall, but the furthest quarter, right, from the wall, we get hit. Bah! Like you get hit. So I got the ever living shit kicked out of me like all the time because I just wasn't good at that game. So, but that's a sales tale. That's what I'm. So it's so funny that you can get so much information from so many different sort of, places. And like, I guess a lot of this, like Phil like, talking about, it's kind of funny. It's actually a Jersey episode. 100%. We're just talking about like mob run scams. 100%. Oh my gosh. All right, Phil, before we pack it up, and we say goodnight to these lovely people who have stuck with us or these people who are listening. Do you have anything you'd like to say for yourself?
Thanks for having me. Been really, really nice hanging out with you guys again. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Just had a day and then a hell of another day today. Yeah, one of those. So we'll catch up tomorrow, but thanks for it was nice hanging out with you guys and shooting the crap, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, I love you, Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
Blue, you're my boy.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got a question for you though.
For him or for me?
For yous.
I was thinking the same thing, Everett.
For yous.
I mean,
why do bees hum?
Huh?
Because they don't know the words.
And with that, thumbs down. And with that, I say good night. Thank you for.
Hey, don't let this guy on stage, bro.
It's too late.
No stand up for you.
It's too late. It's too late. I think I'm going to end this. I think I'm going to end it. Phil, I love you, bro. John, I love you. All right, guys. See ya. We'll see you next week.